Oh shit. Welcome. Episode six, seven of Manager in the Mirror, one of those.
Six, maybe.
Uh, well, we still got me, Luke, Pat, and Zach Fedor, of course. So I guess this is six. We have the Rouse House, Brennan Rouse. How are we?
Doing fantastic. So excited to be aboard.
Is my internet bad?
I don't know. I heard Brennan fine.
Still excited to be
Okay.
aboard. Hasn't changed since the last time I said it.
Awesome. Dan, how are we?
Doing good. Excited to get the show back on the road. Little couple week hiatus. I think we needed it. The pace was heavy for a while. Feeling refreshed and ready to talk Rouse House.
Good stuff. All right. Well, before we hop into it, he's a brick house, the Rouse House. He has stood the test of time, some would say. Three playoffs in the last five seasons, two finals appearances during that stretch. I think it's like a combined 12 points away from two rings. It's a tough one, and that's why he lives a beautiful, dark, twisted fantasy. I'm sure some in this league would kill for the success you've had, but we never quite reached that mountaintop. But let's get into Brennan's 2024 and what he was doing to overcome that. So he left the season prior 10-5, the one seed and most points for in the league. He beat Dan round one by 14 and then fell victim to the year of the mirror by only 2.3 points on New Year's Eve. I remember it like it was yesterday. Um, he
You and
set
me
off
both.
his season. He set off his season with the quarterback draft, where he kept Patrick Mahomes 101, drafted Purdy 205 and Carr 306. Um, a week or so after that, he added Christian McCaffrey, Adam Thielen, and Curtis Samuel from his finals counterpart and sent Josh Downs, the 109, which was then sent to Tom and became Worthy, the 209, which was then sent to Pat and became Adonai Mitchell, and the 306 this year. In rookie draft, he drafted Blake Corum at the 210, Theo Johnson 509, Darnold 605, which ended up being a hell of a pickup, and then Cornelius Johnson, another hell of a pickup at 609. He added Lazard and Hunt off waivers in the first couple weeks of the season. And then he made his trade. He received Stefon Diggs, Jordan Mason, and Nico's 26th third for Joe Mixon and his 27th second. That didn't last too long. So then he sent Tyreek Hill once he realized he was kind of out of the running for Nico's 26th first. Ended up finishing 7-8, the sixth seed, fourth in points for, though, and has picked 6, 16, and an extra first and third next year from Nico. And that's where we are.
That was a lot. Definitely a up and down ride. Eventful couple years for you. I'm excited. I'm excited to dig into it. First, what's up with Brennan?
Um, Not a lot. It's so for everyone in the league that doesn't know, I'm down here in Maryland now. Working for a company called ProShares. I work on as an analyst on the investment strategy team, so it's been a very busy couple of weeks. I'm not sure if anyone's been following the news, but there's a lot of stuff going on in the finance world, and I have been working a lot of late shifts as a result. But other than that, I got a big golf thing coming up on Friday that I'm very excited for. So I'm excited to get away from work and actually go play some golf. So that's about it.
Exciting stuff, man.
Very nice. All right. Well, let's just get right into it. Let's just dig into the fantasy football. How many times do you, Brennan, think you would have to clone your fantasy team? 33 adult NFL athlete men featuring the likes of Derrick Henry, AJ Brown, and Joe Milton how many times over would you have to clone your fantasy team to beat a gorilla in a fight to the death?
Two
Topical.
times. Two times. I get the whole 100 men versus one gorilla thing, but I don't know. Some of those dudes on like Derrick Henry just sticks out to me. You get two Derrick Henrys. That's I think that you throw away some of the smaller guys to just be sacrifices right off the bat, and then just let the closers come in, big boys come in and just absolutely destroy that thing. I think that we only needed two times. I think if you gave me three, that it's a lock. I think two, we could get it done.
Give me
Yeah.
two Derrick Henrys, a Theo Johnson, and a Brock Purdy.
And a Brock Purdy. Really. I feel like he would be equally as irrelevant in that one as he was in the NFL draft. Me personally, I threw this in there because I hate this debate. Everyone disagrees with me. I think the Gorillas taken the men I think if you cloned your team three times and we had 99 NFL players, three Derrick Henrys, etc., I think that probably gets the job done. I think 100 average men is close, but I just have a hard time seeing average men kill shotting a gorilla or really stunning a gorilla. Um,
I just think that if everyone was in and they were working together, they could get it done. You put 20 people on each leg, 20 people on each arm, and then 20 people on the
Not
head.
a given that you can get
I
control
think
of a
if
leg, though.
so, I think where things fall apart in practice, if you were to actually have this run down, as soon as the first couple of people get torn in half, I think everybody's going to have their psyche hit a little bit, and that's where things fall apart. But if you got 100 dudes that were just like full force, ready to go and ready to go for, I think they like mental mentalness, I guess, aside from it, they could get it done. But I think that that's where things fall apart. Is as soon as you watch a person get ripped in half, I think that might change you.
It's one fucking gorilla. It's
Yeah,
gonna get tired.
it might get
It could
tired.
kill 50 men and then be tired and 50 people there to stop it.
Okay, so my main rebuttal to the arm and leg strategy and the people that think 100 men can do it is how many people can circle a gorilla at one time before you're too far away to even hit it? I mean, I don't think we can
Well,
fit
you just
20
keep
people.
piling in. As soon as the first dude in front of this is where I was saying where the mental aspect comes in. If you can just put aside the dude in front of you just got ripped in half, like you could move up and just keep, it's like shark's teeth. They just keep filing in
And then you're
until the job is
running
done.
over your dead comrades. You're not getting a good strike off.
You're
It's
not
not
killing this
happening.
thing by punching it. You're gonna like suffocate it or like you're gonna like suffocate it or choke it.
Yeah, I
You
don't
can
know.
you 50 people are enough people to pin a gorilla to the ground. I'm confident in that.
You
And
could
if that's
have
the case, 50
three
people are
arms,
smart enough.
three arms around its
I
neck. It can just
I
do.
think that it really comes down to the brain. I think that you could devise a plan. I think it's just a matter of execution.
Gotcha. Well, to each their own. I've fought alone in this fight many times, and I will continue to do so. Um, I just want to know, follow-up question, how impactful you think Kenneth Gainwell would be in this? Two Kenneth Gainwells, I guess.
He can squat like 550, can he? I think he's like surprisingly strong. I think that he would play a factor. I think that he
If
would.
it's a medium-sized gorilla, he's gonna pick up the gorilla on his shoulders. Throw the thing all off. It's not gonna know what to do.
All right. Well, I want to throw in an unscripted question that just came to me in your little intro there. Um, One of the bigger decisions anyone made last offseason was the keep Hurts versus keep Mahomes decision you made at the 101. How do we feel about that now?
That is honestly probably my biggest regret of all of the moves that I've made this year. And it's for more like obviously you look at like from a fantasy perspective, it didn't work out taking Mahomes, but also just from like a Eagles perspective, like it just like I wasn't happy having to make that decision. And I think that I kind of went, well, I'm gonna go Mahomes because I have Hurts on the Eagle side of things regardless, and I feel like it's a lose-lose having to pick between the two of them. So it just kills me that he's not on my team and like outside of the fantasy side of things. And then from a fantasy perspective, obviously, like I struggled at quarterback this year. My team, I just never felt confident at quarterback, and that would never have been the case if I had kept Hurts. So that's honestly through all of those trades that didn't go my way, my biggest regret is not taking Hurts there.
Yeah, those
Gotcha.
ones definitely hurt. Um, Good thing I would never ever agree to trade Josh Allen.
You said that like you might be on the verge of trading Josh Allen.
I said that like I may have agreed to trade Josh Allen to you in the past before backing out of that deal. If I remember correctly, it was centered around me getting Philip Lindsay. So
This was one QB days, I guess.
it was. I agreed to this trade. I said, yeah, let's do it. And later backed out. I'm surprised you don't remember, but
I miss a good Philip Lindsay.
He had a ring, I believe, first season with me.
might have been a
I thought
keeper.
you were talking about like in the NFL. I was like, did he?
Wow, you didn't get one of those. Um, well, speaking of drafts, you as it stands, you're gonna make a first rounder, that 106 this year. That's gonna be your first time doing that since going back to back drafting rookie Devonta Smith and Javonte Williams. Um, is this something you think is actually gonna happen? Are we looking to move off of it? And is if you are gonna use it, is there a position or a win now versus best player available type thing? What's this pick looking like?
Um, so this is kind of a cop-out answer, and then I'll give you more of a real answer afterwards. The cop-out answer is ultimately kind of how the board falls when we get there is kind of going to dictate how I proceed, which is a way of saying absolutely nothing. But in all reality, like I think when it comes time, depending on what the board looks like my wide receiver room is just absolutely terrible right now. So that's almost certainly how I would like to use that pick. If the board doesn't fall the way that I want it to, then obviously I'll move off of it or go. I'm not going to shoehorn a pick if I don't like who's there. But I mean, I that receiver room is not looking good. So I think that that's probably where that needs to. That's what it's going to have to be.
Fair enough.
All right, so talking about sitting using a pick, kind of trending younger. When we look at your team across most starting lineups that you'd make looking at your roster, Sam Darnold and AJ Brown are tied for your second youngest starter at 27 years old. And when you look at the bench, there's not much youth either. You do have some capital this year. You do have an opportunity to get a little younger. But what do you expect in terms of the longevity that you want to get out of this core that you've been riding for these last few years?
I mean, we were talking about it earlier. It's just shame because I've really loved this core and they've done so much for me. And it's hard to move off of these guys. But we're starting to get to a point. I don't even know if it's starting to. I got at a point where the team is really old and probably going to have to start moving off some guys. But with that said, I still think that the team can perform with what I have. There's some guys that are iffy, but what I have right now, I think, can still get the job done. And I'm not going to be making moves just to make moves. Been my philosophy for the entirety of this league is that I don't just make a trade just because I feel like I need to make a trade. If the value I feel is not there, it's not going to happen. So even if these guys are getting older and I know that the runway is getting shorter on them, I'm not going to just trade them away just to get them off the roster necessarily. So I think the ultimate plan is roll with what we got for now and see how things break because I mean any given year you never know kind of how it's going to break. I think that there's still, like I said, a lot of good talent on this roster. And I think last year I thought that I had a real shot at contention and we see what ended up happening. So you never really know until things kind of get moving. So it's hard to say right now. Um, how I think a certain thing is going to break because it's all just random at a certain point. But yeah,
Fair enough. So that leads in terribly to our next question. If you were to speculate, would you foresee yourself more likely to add to this pile of picks, an extra first and an extra third next year, or be spending them?
As in, so you're talking not this draft coming up, you're talking going
So
forward.
as the season rolls along, do you
Be
think you're going to be
26.
adding to your war
Gotcha.
chest for 26, or are you going to be spending some of these to get the roster going?
I really feel like I keep giving cop-out answers, but it's really how I feel. It really just depends on how things kind of like that's where I'm at right now. I feel like my team's in limbo-ish territory where it could roll one way, it could roll the other, and I could equally honestly, with all my heart, tell you that I could see it as a 50-50 going either way with this team this year. I would like to think, because I don't like throwing the towel in and restarting, but I would like to think that it will be less picks and more guys to win now, but I also kind of realistic about this roster, so it could very easily go the other way as well.
Going to be interesting. You're definitely not one that shies away from parting with first rounders, as we just talked about, but maybe it's time for a change in philosophy. We shall see. So obviously last year you had this core, and they're guys that I think all of us wouldn't hate owning and believe in, but injuries were a huge factor. Is there, or I guess how much concern is there going into this year as far as that's concerned? Is there, you don't need to name names, but do you see yourself kind of moving some of them, or maybe adding depth to shore up injuries, or are we just gonna start the season off uh, hoping for better outcomes?
Um, the first thing I would say is I am excited to actually see some of the guys I traded for potentially play this year because it seems like every person I've traded for, I've not actually seen play for my team. So the idea of getting to see some of them actually play is pretty exciting. I would like to add some depth because I am aware that all of these guys have pretty substantial injury histories, but Stephon Diggs and Christian McCaffrey, it'll be cool to see them actually suit up for my team and not just sitting in the IR slots. So,
There is some depth already. It's just a lot of guys that fit in the same categories here as far as age and a little bit of wear on the tires. But
yeah.
you can stomach one or two losses for sure.
I mean, yeah, I didn't want to get too into it, but I guess while we're still here, I mean, this is more preseason talk, but I'm still pretty in on the Rouse House's contending outlook. Brennan, I think it's definitely smart to stay flexible, like you said. Um, I think the attitude of, well, we'll see what happens, we'll see where it goes, and adjust as it happens is probably the right one with a team that's where yours is. Because, I mean, we saw it from Jesse with what I'll say in my mind's eye, I'm not sure, I'm not looking at it, was probably a worse team 2 years ago than what, again, in my mind's eye, than what I picture you bringing in this year. And I mean, I was here saying low power rankings. If I were him, I'd be selling, I'd be hitting the rebuild button. And I don't know. I think anybody who's like really into Dynasty is always gonna keep sleeping on the veteran players, keep sleeping on the guys who we know are like you're talking about. These guys all have long lists of injuries. They also all have long lists of being like running back ones and wide receiver ones and quarterback ones. Overall, QB one, wide receiver one, RB one is like the caliber of guys we're talking about. So I'm not ready to jump ship on the Rouse House yet.
It
That's all I'll say.
it is all over Dan's screen, I think it's safe to say. Um, I will say I was listening to a little startup, or not startup, rookie draft just the day after the draft concluded. And this was our league settings plus tight end premium. So one tight end went ahead of who I'm about to bring up. But even without that happening, this guy would have gone at the 7 Do you have thoughts on Tet McMillan's landing spot and if that would be someone you would look at 6 if he's there?
I mean, that would not be a bad that would not be a bad outcome, I would say. That's how I feel about it. That would be that would not be a bad outcome. That's how that's all I'm gonna say about how I feel about the way things could potentially. I don't want to show too much of my hand of how I come kind of. I think I probably already have by kind of my expression, but I that would not be a bad outcome. I would be fairly happy with that.
Translation: Tet is my 102. I will take him at 6 if he's there. If he's not there, we don't know who you're going to take at 6. So take out the rookie picks of your aging, dusty team. Who are you most excited to see maybe take a step forward, to take a jump? I mean, you talked about the guys you traded for and haven't gotten to see yet. So maybe outside of them, CMC and Diggs, who are you excited to see maybe take a jump this year? Or just excited to see on the football field, if not?
Always excited for Chase Brown. I would be remiss if I didn't bring up Chase Brown in a fantasy podcast.
Be quite
Always
hypocritical
excited for some
considering
Chase Brown.
the hate we've gotten for not bringing up Chase Brown.
And then I think Theo Johnson's another guy that I'm pretty excited. I think going forward has some real potential to be getting a lot of playing time on the in the Rouse house. I don't I mean like my tight end room also isn't looking great, so I think that there's a real potential that if he can take that next step, which I'm hoping and I well, part of me is hoping and part of me as an Eagles fan is not necessarily hoping, but from a fantasy perspective is hoping that he can take that next step. I think that I'm excited to see what he can end up doing this year and hopefully start contributing to the team.
Hey man, the Giants have a long history of contributing some big fantasy names without being any good, so that could be a real sweet spot for you. Um, Chase Brown, I mean, off the dome might be, I think, my number one biggest winner of draft weekend. I would have been certain that James Cook too, but even more certain that the Bengals would have thrown a third or a fourth at one of these names that a lot of people held in decent regard. But they stuck to their guns.
They like some Chase Brown, they see what I see. They see what everybody should see. Chase Brown, man. Just wait. Although he is the lesser of the two twins, but still,
Very true.
love some Chase Brown.
Probable Eagles backup safety Sidney Brown is far and away maybe
Better
even
Brown.
a bigger fantasy contributor if we give him a chance. But we'll see. All right.
Well, we've talked a lot about a team in flux, a team with options, a team that could go a couple different ways. What does success look like this year for Vince Young's dream team?
So, from my perspective, success is having pretty early on a sense of where this team is going. So, I would like to tell you that success is making it to the playoffs and then making a push, but I'm not 100% sure with what I got right now that that's going to end up being the case. What I am hoping doesn't happen is that we drag out 6, 7 weeks of like giving me kind of hope, but then also weeks of like not sure, and then I end up just in limbo the entire time. I want a direction, one way or the other. I'm hoping that the team makes it easy for me, so that I don't have to make a decision early on which way I'm going to go. But I think a successful year is at the end. I think everyone in the league will know exactly what this team is and know which direction it is that this team is headed.
So this year would be the opposite of the goal. Don't do it again. So it's pretty safe to say that going back to the earlier question, we're kind of hoping that either the picks get spent or the picks get added to.
Yeah, I mean, I just, I have faith, and maybe it's just me being optimistic about this roster, but I think that this team can still make a push and be a legitimate team. but I'm also, I guess I would say it's a short leash, and I'm going to be watching closely and ready to make moves whenever it's time to make moves.
Do you feel threatened at all? Because just having put some feelers out already myself, do you feel threatened at all that two to three, maybe even four teams might be in this similar mindset and that you need to kind of zig before everyone else zags?
Um, I wouldn't say threatened. I think that I have some good assets on the team that people are going to event. Like, if I make the move, the assets are going to be valuable whether the other people are zigging or zagging. So I'm not necessarily concerned of what other teams are going to be doing, whether there's going to be other teams either trying to add or subtract from their teams when they make their decision. Um, I think that there's some pieces that I could get some good capital for if it comes to that, and I think that I have some capital to trade if I decide to go the other way. So I'm not concerned about where what other teams are doing.
Fair enough. And then, as we ask everybody, who do you think takes it all this year, and who will be bringing up the rear?
I think Nico takes it all this year. I think he takes the next step. I've really, really liked that roster a lot. I like what he's been doing, and it's just been a gradual climb. And I think I mean, he's been every year, year after year, he's been taking the next step, taking the next step, taking the next step. And what's the next step now? But to win it all, and I think he does it. So I think Nico gets the ring and makes me really sad that I've been in the league from day one and don't have a ring, and he does. But that's how I see that going.
Gotcha.
And then holding up the rear, I mean, I think Jesse is still in rebuild mode. I think it's just kind of it's low hanging fruit. I think that he wouldn't be upset with me saying that he's going to probably be one of the worst teams this year because I think that he also would say that he's trying to rebuild it and he's not expecting to necessarily be contending for a championship this year. So that's probably right. I have my last place pick.
Tomorrow's headline: Brendan Rouse likes Mir in the rear.
Fits right
Although I
in
will,
Jesse's episode.
Yeah, that one got interesting. I believe I wish I had kept a tally of these. I believe where that probably puts Jesse in the lead if he wasn't already. And I
He
think that's
was.
the first non-Nico pick.
It is.
I think Tom said me maybe.
There's one Dan answer. That's our first Nico. There may be Orion. I don't know.
I'm pretty sure that was Orion. That one
Yeah.
rings some bells. Interesting though. All right.
Love a selfless answer.
Yeah, not picking yourself. That's huge for production.
That's a
Well,
quarterback right there. That's who I want running my offense.
for sure. Um, well, that wraps up our Q&A here. We have looked in the mirror with Brennan Rouse. Thank you, everybody that made it this far. We got 0 froyos in the chat after the last episode, except me, I believe. So I watched to the end. But today's password will be Mir in rear. And if you watched that this far, throw it in the chat. And do we have anything we'd like to say to the league before we hop off, Brennan?
100%, 100 dudes could take a gorilla.
Okay.
100%.
They just can't all make an impact. Um, Dan, anything for the people?
Brennan said it all.
That he did. Wrong, but he said it all. Thank you, everybody, for watching episode 6 of Manager in the Mirror. If you are one of the 3 people out there that might or might not be watching, probably one of you not watching for sure, um, please reach out. We got a few weeks until we draft. Did we set a date? Are we still May 24th or whatever? Or
I
no,
don't believe we have a day set now.
no date.
Official.
I would like to throw out there just like maybe a little summit. I mean, I've already posed a ton of changes, but I feel like we haven't really set anything into motion for sure. I was telling some other people about our league. I was telling them about this gorilla question, and they were like, he has 33 people on his team with 2 empty spots, and I was like, yeah, it's dumb, but alas, we can talk about it all at once. I think we need a little spring cleaning. But thank you for watching, and we'll see you maybe next week, maybe a few weeks from now.
A league Zoom sounds wonderful. I miss all of you, Brennan and Ryan, because you're the only two that will hear it. Bye, everybody.